Hello, hey guys. This is for Amberlynn Reid. Um, I just want to let you know that I'm 46 and it took, I think, 10 years before I was finally diagnosed with bipolar. And of course, I was in denial for most of my 20s. I was diagnosed, I think, 26 or 25. I was in denial. I didn't want to believe it. So I was not on medication. Big mistake. So what ended up happening is when I was manic, I weighed 116 pounds most of my entire life. But when I was manic, I would end up in different cities and not really remember how I got there. I was also a model. I modeled for a living. That's how I made my money. You can't tell by looking at me now because I've aged. I've gotten older. I don't take care of myself the way I used to. I used to be all about my looks, and as you get older, that's just not the most important thing. And I don't model anymore, so it just doesn't matter. I mean, I do take care of myself, but right now it's late and I'm getting ready to go to bed. But I just wanted to put this out there, and I hope to God that you do watch this, Amber, because somebody needs to tell you the truth. I'm bipolar, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what my life was like before I got on the new medication. In the last 4 years, I've been on Latuda, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. But before, there was no Latuda. They used to put us on medications that were a medical straitjacket. Now, they came out with these really good, hardly any side effects other than weight gain. There is weight gain with Latuda, and you have to be careful about what you eat, and you have to exercise because you will put on weight. That's not good for you because you're already 600 pounds. But being bipolar, when I was manic, I ended up marrying several men. Several. Not a few. 7. 7 different men. I married one man who was a stranger. I did not even know him. I woke up the next day, realized what I had done, begged him for an annulment. He wouldn't give me one. Being dumb, I stayed married to him for about 2 years. Finally, I divorced him. But that was one thing I did while being manic. Another thing is I would go out. I would just go to different cities. I'd wake up and be in LA. I wouldn't even know how I got there. I'd wake up and be in New York, in Manhattan. Didn't know how I got there. I would wake up and be in New Orleans. It was just, I would get on a plane, and one time I ended up in LA at the Four Seasons with Jerry Lee Lewis, Kid Rock. Nothing against Kid Rock. I love Kid Rock. He's awesome. Don't want to put him down. He did not do anything to me. He was awesome. He was a gentleman. No one did. But Willie Nelson, anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, I did a lot of crazy things when I was manic. And then when I was depressed, I tried to take my own life. One time, I stepped in front of a car. Car hit me going 45 miles an hour. I did this on purpose because I did not want to live anymore. I was so tired of living that existence. I was so tired of the ups and the downs, I was tired of it. And I wanted it to stop. I didn't actually want to die. I just wanted it to stop. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to walk out in front of this car. If it hits me, then I'm meant to die. And it will be over. I will be, I was 31 when I did this. This will be the end. I won't live like this anymore. Well, the car hit me. I did die. The paramedic brought me back. No one thought I was going to live. No one. Not the doctors, not the staff, not the detective that showed up on the scene. They tarped the car and towed it in because they thought I was going to die. And I was on life support, and I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks. I lost a lot of my intestines because there was internal bleeding. I had to have an emergency exploratory surgery, and they found bleeding in my liver. They stopped that. They removed my spleen. They removed my uterus. They removed everything that had to be removed that was bleeding, that wasn't, that I didn't have to have. So I lost a lot of organs. My legs, my back was broken into, just severely broken. Both legs were compound fractures. And I'm going to explain to you what a compound fracture is. Compound fracture is when you break your bone, and the bone literally goes through the muscle, through the tendons, through the flesh. One leg, I woke up and I held my leg up, and my leg was hanging off. It was barely hanging on by a thin layer of skin. My thigh bone was coming out of my skin of my other leg. My back was broken in multiple places. My coccyx was shattered. It was just gone. I have no coccyx left. Then, by the grace of God, I survived. I survived that. It's a miracle. I don't know how I did it, but I did. I had to learn how to walk all over again. I had to I pretty much had to learn how to do everything all over again. I had severe brain damage. I thought that someone had poured Jello in my hair when I come to, but it wasn't Jello. It was blood. They washed it 5 times to get the blood out. It was dried blood. There was holes the size of a silver dollar in my skull. They had to do brain surgery to relieve the pressure on my brain and to stop the bleeding. It literally just stopped on its own, thank God. And then another time, I've tried to kill myself so many times that I can't list them all. I've OD'd many times. I've had my stomach pumped so many times that I can't even remember how many times I did that. I've cut my wrist. I put a gun to my head, and by the grace of God, the bullet didn't fire. I did a test shot, and I fired the gun, and the bullet came out. But the second time when I put it to my head and I pulled the trigger, nothing happened. So that was a miracle. I was placed in a mental institution after that. And because my husband called the police, he was scared. It scared him very badly. I have not been in a mental institution in the last 4 years since going to a state-run mental institution, which was literally the scariest thing ever. It was so scary. But they put me on Latuda, and I take my medicine every single evening after I eat. It goes through the stomach, not through the liver, so you have to eat in order for the Latuda to work. If you don't eat, it doesn't work. And I have gained 60 pounds since being on Latuda. It does make you hungry. It does make you want to eat. Amberlynn, if I were you, I would go see a different psychiatrist. I would go check out a different psychiatrist and get a second opinion, because I honestly do not believe you're bipolar. I just don't. Because you're too lazy to be bipolar. Bipolar people, you can't fake being bipolar. And I don't know who your psychiatrist is, but I would get a new one, because you're not bipolar. You're saying you're bipolar. I don't know why. And I don't know why any psychiatrist, after visiting with you one or two or three or four or five times, would be able or capable of diagnosing you with bipolar. Most of the time, it takes 6 to 7 years to get a good diagnosis of bipolar. One, you need to be in a mental institution a few times while manic and while depressed, so that they can gauge and they can see you at those different times in your life, and they can see how you behave while you're in those episodes. And then they can give you an excellent diagnosis. But you can't go to a psychiatrist 2 or 3 times, or how many times that you said you went, and get a true diagnosis of bipolar. It's very hard to diagnose someone with bipolar after just a few visits. And if someone diagnosed me with bipolar after just a few visits, I would damn sure not believe them, and I damn sure wouldn't trust them. Because it took years for me to get diagnosed, and even after I was diagnosed, I was in denial. I didn't believe I was bipolar. I didn't believe anything was wrong with me. I believe you're using the mental health community as a crutch, as an excuse for your binge eating and your weight. You already use mobility scooters, which infuriates me, because my husband is 72 years old. He's a Vietnam War hero, and he's also has a brain tumor, and he has trouble walking. So when we go to Walmart, all the scooters are gone. You know why? Because of fat ass people like you. Lazy, fat people who don't want to walk. That is why you're in the predicament that you're in. It's because you are lazy. You're lazy. I believe you when you say you have a binge eating disorder. I believe you. But I also don't understand why you don't go get help for it. Why you don't go to your psychiatrist and explain that you eat so much. You have the money, you can afford to get inpatient treatment. So I don't understand why you don't do that. But please stop using bipolar as a crutch, as an excuse for why you're a fat ass. It does nothing but piss me off. You do not know what bipolar is like. You don't have bipolar. Because what? Because one day you're up and you want to do things, and then the next few days later you're depressed and you're laying in bed. Well, hell, I would be depressed laying in bed too if I weighed as much as you do. I would want to kill myself if I weighed as much as you do. I'm not advocating that. I'm not telling you to kill yourself. I'm just saying me personally, I wouldn't want to live if I weighed as much as you do. But that's just me. But anyway, you know what? Stop using bipolar as an excuse and OCD. You don't have OCD, bitch. Let me tell you something. I have OCD. You don't have OCD. You're too fucking fat and lazy to have OCD. I'm going to leave this now because I'm getting angry. You've pissed me off. You piss everyone off because you're nothing but a liar. You've accused men of raping you, which was a lie. That was debunked. That never happened. You say that your mother and your family abused you. And by the way, I was in and out of foster homes my entire life. So you're not the only one that you can't corner the market on bad childhoods. A lot of us had bad childhoods, and we didn't blow up to be 600 and something pounds. So you can't use that. You don't have a victim card that you can pull out and play every single time you want an excuse for why you're a fat ass.